hello. Happy Monday to most of y'all, and of course, if you're on this side of the world, rocking out in Canada, in the US, in the UK, happy Sunday to you. I hope you've had a beautiful, beautiful start to the morning, and we are going to be cracking on with this episode in 2 minutes. So it's going to be a bit of a different episode, I think, today, guys. So we're going to be talking about hidden lessons. I think this one is one for the purists of exercise, of transformation. So if you are coming to this one live, guys, please do me a favor and get down there in the comments and say hello. Your boy wants to know if you're coming in and watching and getting involved. So we're going to start this episode in a minute and a half, guys, and we're ready to rock and roll. All right. Okay. So, how's the weekend, team? Tell us the story. Hey, Tezza, how are you, mate? What's going on, brother? I'm looking forward to seeing you in approximately 2 weeks. Super stoked. Hello, Kevy. Oh, Kevy, mate. I wish you were able to just make a quick flight across to Australia. It'd be so good to give you a hug, brother. Hello, Mr. Harvey. How are you, my legend? Likewise, can't wait to get in there and give you a hug, buddy. And, of course, be able to have a beer with you. Good morning. I can't see who it is, but I'm sure it's someone beautiful. Hello, Ash. Lovely to have your company here as well. Looking forward to stomping with you in a couple of weeks. It's going to be fun. Oh man, so do I. All right, guys, we're going to get started in 1 minute. Get down there in the comments if you are coming into this one live, and if you watch on replay, make sure you hashtag replay. We're going to bring our friends in over at TikTok. By the way, how funny is this? Kev, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but we're up to 1.8 million plays on an Aussie in Canada. It's mental, hey, the reach of TikTok. Anyway, I do digress. Hello, Claire. How are you, mate? Lovely to have your company in here this afternoon as well. I hope things aren't too chilly for you over in the UKKK. Guys, I think we're ready to get started, ready to rock and roll, and I think we're good to go. All right, so let's do it. Guys, just a quick reminder, if you are playing along at home and you're watching, any feedback, any comments that you've got, would love to hear them throughout the podcast, and of course I'll display the comments if they're worthy. So let's get started. Hello, Jackie, how are you, mate? Let's get started. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. We're going in live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. Of course, this is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to you, my friends. In today's episode, we're going to be talking around an interesting topic. It's a link between weight loss and what I'd call life achievement and success. So what I want to do in this episode is I want to have a discussion, because I think a lot of us are right now in a health transformation, and we're kind of suffering a certain level of confusion, maybe. So perhaps you've got started, and at the start you were pumping, you were bullet agate, things were going really, really well. And then at some point that kind of shiny object maybe wore off. Our motivation can often dip, and we find it hard to, I guess, execute on what our coach has given us. We start to wonder why we're struggling to follow through. We start to question ourselves, and that often causes us to stop doing what actually works. So I want to know in the comments, TikTok, Facebook, etc. I want to know if you feel like that. And I want you to also know that if that is the case, you are not alone. This is very common, happens to nearly everyone. In fact, the feeling is so common, I feel the need to do a podcast on the topic and try to drill down, I guess, why it's actually happening so that we can get you back on track. What I want to do is I want you to think back to when you started your transformation journey, okay? My guess is that your thoughts and emotions went a little bit something like this, okay? On a physical level, I've put on weight, I feel tired all the time, My shirts no longer fit. I can't keep up with the kids. I struggle to tie up my shoelaces. And whatever it was, but a lot of the pain that you were feeling was on a physical level, right? On the next level up, there are mental consequences of that. So the negative physical pain that you're feeling, that I just talked about, plays out in a negative mental experience. So what I mean by this is maybe your confidence starts to suffer. Maybe your self-belief is at an all-time low. Maybe your self-image compared to what it used to be has dropped away. And so we've got a physical level to this. We've got a mental level to this. And then if things become negatively habitual, that starts to ingrain as a habit, and it will indeed play out in our life experience. So what I mean by this is maybe the quality of your relationship starts to suffer. Maybe the type of job that you would accept is below what you want to do, but you take it because you have to, as opposed to the fact that you want to. Maybe the success of your business starts to derail. Maybe how much money you earn and the experience that you have starts to change. So I like to think of things on 3 levels, okay? The physical level, the mental level, and the overall life level. Inside Better Body Academy, we call this the ladder to liberation, the ladder to liberation. This is the idea that if you want to change what you're getting in life, the top level, then you need to change your mindset. And then if you want to change your mindset, the only way, or the easiest way rather, to do that is by changing your physical self. Does this make sense, guys? Perhaps let me simplify this by asking you a question, okay? Let me ask you a question. How would your life change if you lost a little bit of weight, got a little bit stronger, and started to feel a little bit healthier or fitter? Like, feel free to comment. Like, how would your life change? What would actually happen? Think mental consequences, think life consequences. But here's where I think many of us make a really big mistake, which can lead to you falling off your journey. Chris Lewis, this is for you, brother, and eventually giving up. We think that the exclusive value of exercising and eating better is looking better. I'm going to say that again. We think that the exclusive value of exercising and eating better is looking better. We haven't thought that it goes beyond that. That is, okay, I'll look better in the mirror if I exercise. I'll love myself more and be more confident, and I'll get a better job and have a loving relationship. And while that may indeed happen, this may happen, I think the real value of exercise and eating better is being missed. And this is why I'm doing this podcast. I think the real value is being missed. The big value that I see on getting healthier, on getting fitter, on eating better, is what the process of adopting healthier behaviors, a healthier lifestyle, and implementing that actually teaches you about life. In other words, if the only metric that you are paying attention to, listen up, particularly to the ladies, and I'm not being sexist, I'm just saying I see this a lot with women. If you're only paying attention to how you look, you are setting yourself up for eventual failure, and you will fall off the horse. You will fall off the horse. Not might, you will fall off the horse if you're only paying attention to how you look. Now, at the start of your journey, I think for most of us, it's about a certain aesthetic goal where you think, I want to look a certain way or like a certain person. And that's fine. In fact, that desire at the start provides a fair bit of motivation. But soon enough, that motivation starts to wear off. When you realize, as a busy mum and dad, you're probably never going to look like Chris Hemsworth or Beyonce. That's probably not going to happen, right? Who's still clinging on to that? Let me know in the comments if you're still clinging on to that one. I want to look like Chris Hemsworth. I want to look like Beyonce. For most of us, we reach a point where that's probably just not going to happen. And I think there is a very real risk of exercising and eating exclusively to look a certain way rather than uncovering deeper benefits of physical transformation. So while losing weight and getting in shape will often lead to a better self-image, more self-belief, and better confidence, if those three things there, self-image, belief, and confidence, if they are built exclusively on how you look, then hitting your 40s and 50s and 60s is going to be a very painful experience because you can't not get old. That's like, to my knowledge, there's no way to not age. Our human body decays. And whilst we can do very many things to slow down that decay, it is inevitable that eventually our capacity reduces. And believe me, of all people, I'm someone that says, no, I'm never giving up. Every time I bend over and feel that, that creak, I'm like, nah, fuck that, I'm not getting old. I'm always talking to myself in a way that I de-age, but there's an inevitability to this. And for this reason, I think it's very important to realize that the value of a physical transformation actually lies in the lessons you learn about life and yourself. That's why the process is important as the outcome. Does this make sense, team? Please write this in the comments, guys. The process is as important as the outcome. When you write things down, you not only hear the message, but you resend that message to your brain. You create a link. The process is as important as the outcome. I'll put it to you very simply. If it remains all about muscle and fat, you will eventually stop. If it remains all about muscle and fat, you will eventually stop. And you will have created a terrible relationship with food and exercise because the only connection that you've got to it is how it makes you look. So it's going to be a terrible, terrible relationship that you've created with exercise and nutrition, and you will eventually resent it. Does anyone experience this and know exactly what I'm talking about? So to give this some context, I'm just gonna, if it's okay with you guys, share maybe 3 lessons that I think that we can take from the process of exercising and eating better to explain what I mean here. To explain that it's more than fat loss, it's more than muscle gain. Let me share with you maybe 3 lessons that come to mind. Lesson number 1, okay? You can learn and do things that you suck at the start. You can learn and do things that you suck at the start. At the start of a fitness journey, it's super overwhelming, right? Why? Because you suck at everything. I was speaking to one of my clients through the week, and he just said, I'm so frustrated with MyFitnessPal because I can't get my head around it. I'm 50 years old and it's just frustrating for me. You lift in the gym like a newborn giraffe because you haven't figured out your body yet. You can't run 2 minutes without getting puffed. What's the chances of me able to be doing a marathon? You suck at the start. And for every person that's listening that's involved in a journey, I bet you can identify something that you originally sucked at, but now you're pretty good at. Let me know. What is it that you sucked at the start, but you're actually pretty good at now? Maybe it's squatting. Maybe it's the row machine. Maybe it's those frickin' dumbbell Bulgarian split squats. But you've become pretty good at them. With persistence, practice, and less fucks given around what other people think, you will eventually improve. And that is symbolic of life. You might suck at being a parent at the start, like I did. I sucked. Fucking suck. I still suck a bit now, actually, because I get really frustrated. But with failure and practice, you eventually get better. And that feeds back into your self-image, your self-esteem, and so on. Everyone understands the compounding effect of financially investing, but what about the compounding effect of overcoming multiple hurdles over the course of your life? What about the compounding effect of that? What would that do for your confidence, for your self-esteem? So, lesson 1, you can learn things to do things that you suck at the start. Okay? Lesson 2, these are just simple lessons that I think that you can search for in your fitness transformation rather than just saying, oh, I'm not losing weight, so this is worthless. Lesson 2, progress comes from discomfort and a level of pain. Think about how improvements to your body actually happen. How do they happen? When you do a training session, you put yourself through a level of discomfort. Maybe you do a really hard set and pushing yourself is uncomfortable, right? Or maybe running at a certain pace or a distance that is more than you normally do, that's uncomfortable. One of the great lessons that exercise teaches you is that usually progress occurs when you do things that you don't feel like doing. I hope that hits. That progress happens when you do things that you don't feel like doing. We're conditioned, we're told to only do things we feel like. I'd like to see someone that is really, really successful in life by only doing things that they feel like. Does this make sense? If you're able to teach yourself through exercise that doing things that you don't feel comfortable with is a good thing, do you think that that would help you to have confidence in life for doing things that you don't want to do in life? Maybe it's having a conversation with someone that you love and you care for, but it's really awkward and you don't feel like it. But if you've been able to condition yourself to not feeling like it in the gym, but doing it anyway, well then do you think that your confidence to have that discussion in your life is going to happen? Absolutely. Challenging yourself in circumstances which you don't want to be in. For example, you might not want to go for a new job and have to go through the whole interview process. You don't feel like doing that. But if you've got skin in the game from doing stuff you don't feel like in exercise, well, that's going to transfer across to life. You eventually condition yourself to understand that pain is not something that you should run from. Most of us feel this little bit of awkwardness or uncomfortability or pain and we just run the other way, rather than something that you should acknowledge and work through. I think we all have a tendency, myself included at times, I think we all have a tendency to wish we were born into better circumstances so that we were further ahead than we are now. Perhaps we're comparing to our friends. Like, I want to get a show of hands in the comments, right? Let me know if you've ever thought to yourself, I wish I was just born into a richer family. I wish I was just born into a richer family. Like, I would be so far ahead of where I am now. Or I wish I was born to parents who were entrepreneurs or house investors. We just wish that we were born into circumstances that are different to the ones that we were born into because we think that we'd be further ahead in life. If we are to become successful in whatever it is we are pursuing, it's usually the case that we become successful because of the pain that we went through, not because we got the silver spoon fed to us. This is certainly true of my life. The reason that I'm starting to see some success in life and business, and for that matter, love and relationships and parenting, the reason is, like, when I look back at the shit that I went through in my job, I was in so much pain. I come home every day and I fucking hated going to that job. It wasn't the job as much that I hated, about the fact that I was in the same job and I wasn't growing. I wasn't changing. It felt like, what's it called? Groundhog Day. That's what it felt like. And it was painful knowing that I am tolerating living lower than I wanted to. But I was so trapped. At the time, all I wanted to do was leave that shit. But now I look back on those days, and it was that pain and the depth of the pain that I felt which created the leverage for me to keep pushing to pay for new coaches to finally find someone that could teach me how to market my services, to run a podcast, to be a better coach. It wasn't, I thought at the start, I wish I was just born into like a family that was entrepreneurial. I wish I was just born into parents that knew how to fucking speak on camera. These are the things that I used to think. But actually, now that I'm doing those things, it was because of the fact that I had to go through so much pain to work out how to do them. And now that's the thing that benefits me. And the thing is, guys, when you're deep in transformation, you won't realize it until hindsight kicks in. The shit that you're going through now around weight loss plateaus, under eating and restricting, right? Not being able to improve your strength, all of those things are going to come back in a good way to teach you a lesson. You're going through these things at the moment. You're wading through the shit for a reason. I promise you. You just don't know what that reason is yet. Now, the third lesson I'm going to share before we wrap up this podcast is that fitness and health teaches you to see good in the bad. I want to introduce you to something called the law of equal and opposites, which states that every single thing that is good has a bad, and everything that is bad has a good of equal and opposite size. Without the struggle, there is no celebration. Without the pleasure, there is no pain, and without the pain, there is no pleasure. I think all of us, in our mind, we just want to be a certain way. We want to be rich, we want to be healthy, we want to be... The problem is you can't have one without the other. It's called the law of equal and opposites. And so during our fitness transformation, we are going to have experiences which feel bad and which we find it hard to move through. The problem is, if you only want the good experiences without the struggle, when a bad experience comes up during your transformation, you'll react to it because you won't be expecting it. You'll react to it. It will knock you off course and you will self-sabotage. Does anyone know exactly what I'm talking about there? Right? You just want the good without the bad. And the problem is when the bad actually hits you, you just get completely knocked off course. It could be a small thing like stepping on the scales. You've worked really hard through the week. You jump on the scales and you see that there is no change. That's a bad thing, right? It could be a medium scale bad thing, like an injury that stops you from working out for a few weeks. Or maybe someone insults you, looks at you and says, hey, fatty, or I don't know, it could be anything. Or it could be a large scale bad thing. It could be that you get diagnosed with diabetes. Things are going to happen on your transformation journey. Each of these things are experiences which we would label as bad, but they're only truly bad if you don't get the leverage of the equal and opposite good. Does this make sense? That's usually in the form of a lesson. It's usually in the form of a lesson that you can apply, which will serve you in the future. Realizing that weight loss isn't linear, it will never be, and preparing to overcome future plateaus. Realizing that when you sacrifice your form and try to be a hero and try to lift too much weight, you risk injury. Having a heart attack or getting diabetes is in itself a terrible thing, but may provide you with enough leverage to finally act on losing weight. The point of this podcast, guys, is this. It's to say that physical transformation, eating better, exercising more, it's a metaphor for life. There are so many lessons that we learn during a transformation that reducing this exclusively down to aesthetics is going to lead to you falling off. If the only thing you care about is how you look, and that's the only value that you get out of your nutrition and your exercise and your transformation journey, you will eventually fall off. So how do you become better at taking the lessons out? Well, in my opinion, it's actually just a matter of keeping your head in the game. I want to challenge you with something. Why are you thinking about your transformation as a 3 to 6 month journey? 3 to 6 months. Like, what the fuck? What if you really started playing a long game? Like, this is a 10-year journey, maybe more. Do you think that you'd stop paying attention to the tiny little day-by-day metrics? For example, I only lost 500 grams last week. It's fucking irrelevant, actually. The one observation that I make, guys, is this. Everyone wants to be more consistent, but the people that are consistent have moved beyond seeing transformation as one-dimensional fat loss. If I'm not losing weight, then I'm failing, so there's no real point in me doing this. The people that are successful in the long term are the ones that take pride in the process. They post into our Better Body Academy group, not because they look good, but because they are showing up. They stop worrying about 200 grams on the scales, 500 grams. You are better and bigger and far more important than that. And if we're boiling this podcast down to one key point, it's that, you know what? Aesthetics are important at the start. We want to change how we look. But if the only value that you're taking out of your transformation journey is the change to how you look, well, eventually that idea is going to run out of merit because you're going to turn 40, 50, 60, 70, and you're going to give less fucks about how you look and much more around what's actually going on in your life. Are you engaged in life? Are your relationships quality? Are you thinking on a great level? Are you having great experiences? They're going to become about the top level, not this low-level physical transformation. Guys, hopefully this has been beneficial. This has been the Better Body Academy podcast, the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening.